is Nigeria Info.
During any election, and I know that we followed on quite a number of the states, I beg your pardon, and I must say, once again, there's just something about the 2023 election generally. You would have hoped that we would have a bit more seamless, hassle-free process, better than we had in 2015, 2019. You would hope that this would have been an improvement, but it was sadly marred with pockets of violence. It was marred with disruption, voter suppression and intimidation. And I mean, Kano State, for example, is under a curfew. You saw people, detention, the apprehension, just, following up to ensure that it goes smoothly. The people were just out there on the streets, following up until a curfew was imposed by the state governor to just bring about some peace to the environment. Kaduna State also has a bit of tension going on. We're just waiting to see how it pans out, saying that no official result has been declared just yet. It's a close tie from the reports so far collated. So we'll get to see what happens there. Nasarawa State result is out, and a few other states have had their result officially announced by INEC. But we're looking at the conduct, we'll be looking at the process. Our eyes will also be on places like Lagos, where we saw, voter suppression, and a few other states where it happened, as much as what the gains and perhaps lessons to be learned from this election will be. We're expecting Mr. Jide Ojo, public affairs analyst, to join us any minute now. I know he mentioned that I already had a tight day when he was invited. He had to be on TV and another TV program, but he's assured that he's on his way to join us for the roundtable today. And any minute now, hopefully he'll join us in the studio. And at the 5 o'clock hour, we'll be looking at governance issues, democracy issue, alongside with the election, also with Dr. Adia Ode, Dr. Ode, not our Dr. Inya Ode, this is Dr. Adia Ode, the national leader of Pearl. She will be here in the studio for us to have a conversation from 5 o'clock. So it will be a packed show with a lot of conversation to be had. I'll just go on a quick break, find out where my guest is precisely, and then we get moving with the roundtable. My name is Kimberly Nwachukwu. Just call me Kim. Call me OTF, Madam Speaker, the Oracle, the Digital Oracle, and you'll be correct. And I'll be here till 7 p.m. Itodo is still on what's happening at Abuja, so I'll be flying solo from now till 7 p.m. Please stay with me to the end of the show. Hello, my name is Kimberly Nwachukwu. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 This is Nigeria Info.
All day, I can imagine.
It's the season.
I know, right?
It comes with the season. You can't really escape it. because there are some of us who have residual knowledge of how things have been in the past, and we can do comparative analysis and say whether things are the same or things are improving or we are. It's maybe we should even go, the way of some suggestions, but. That's most important.
I'm grateful you could make it here.
Yeah.
But you know what? You talked about comparative analysis, whether things are the same or improving. And I want us to start the roundtable looking at it, because this is going to be a roundtable unusual. Yes, we have other stories to look at, but the critical chunk of the stories we'll be looking at is around the just concluded governorship election. Yeah. And I want to start off from the question is, has it improved or the same, or did we take a step backward in the conduct and the entire play of the election?
Thank you. In the conduct and the entire process, I would say we've improved. It may not be as many of us expected. Recall that there's a popular saying that we may not be where we ought to be, but we are not where we used to be. In time past, bogus figures are returned as vote cast when we know that that was orchestrated by desperate politicians who just do mass thumb printing. And there was no independent way of verifying, except you bring in what they call forensic experts. And it was these forensic experts from abroad who helped ACN to recover many of their stolen mandates, because they have to bring machines to start saying, okay, is it the same person that completed all of this, or is it different people? But now with Beavers, which is a game changer, we are seeing more accurate reflection of voter turnout, accredited number, gender configurations. And with the Beavers, we are also having another layer of integrity, which is uploading of the result. And as I said on another platform before coming here, that has come to be the game changer for Kaduna now, where in Biningwari, talks came and destroyed the ECAT form. And I watched the admin sec saying they are going to rebuild the results by downloading the already uploaded results on the IRF. Assuming it came that alternate source of recollecting results were not available, it then means that INEC may have to go and reconduct election in a very volatile place like Biningwari. But they have gone on a short break, saying that they will reconvene by 6, and in that period, party agents or polling agents are invited to see how the downloading of those results from IRF will be. But just imagine if that wasn't available. So, to the extent of infusing technology in the conduct of our elections, and people should just not be blinded to the fact that we have a biometric voters database that at least is credible enough, and you can use with the introduction of permanent voters card, you can now determine fake from original PVCs. Then the accreditation, authentication of PVCs and verification of the identity of the voter is now possible biometrically, electronically. You get. Those are the successes we've made. And the fact that today our elections is not starved of funds. Like in previous elections, Section 3, Sub 3 of the Electoral says funding for the next general election must be made available 1 year to that election. So if you don't have money, if you don't get money, hide your face. You don't have money, you may as well postpone the election till when you have the money, because otherwise you'll be going against the letter and spirit of the law. Then the inclusion provisions for persons with disabilities, the assistive devices that the commission has to make for them is no longer at the discretion of the commission, but it's mandatory. The assistive devices. Then even the inclusion of IDPs. Section 24 says that IDPs, that if there is a national emergency, those who are affected, displaced, should also, INEC must try to accommodate them by ensuring that their rights to vote is not denied them. That's inclusion for me as somebody from civil society. Then you also look at the provisions of Section 65, so 4 and 5, that says, in the event that somebody is put under duress to make a wrong call, INEC has within 7 days within which to review their result. And we've seen the activation of that principle in, Dogowa, Tununwada constituency, federal constituency, where INEC had initially declared Alazam Dogowa as the winner. But because that prof who collected the result said, I
was done
made this
under
under duress, INEC said, okay, we have taken note, and now we are withdrawing. You are no longer rep select. There will be a day where there will be supplementary election in 13 polling units. Those are steps that I am saying.
We've seen improvement. Compared to the last election where Imo State, for example, Rochas.
Impunity,
exactly.
Where we had those impunities. So now, even for governorship election, there could be a review, in the coming days, within the next 1 week, there could be a review of certain calls that
was done under duress.
That may have been done under duress, given the widespread attempts to invade coalitions. INEC has just suspended Obingwa.
Let's go on a quick break, sir. We'll be back in a bit.
Announcement.
Hello, my name is Kimberly. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.
Audio Jungle.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 Nigeria Info.
ABJ, and Facebook, the same Nigeria Info ABJ. Taiwo Azik Aderigbe. I'm sorry if I murdered your name, but
You got it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciative of the fact that we brought Mr. Jide Ojo. Thank you very much. MK Adeye, welcome Digital Oracle. Francis Agbo, please don't say pocket of violence where people are losing lives and property. I hear you. Over to you, sir. So yes, painting the picture, even citing Dogowa with where we saw INEC, invoke that section of the Electoral Act that empowers it to nullify and cancel out if it was done under duress. So we have seen some improvement in the use of the Electoral Act. Yes, I'd like to read it.
But that's at the level of legal framework. Even in terms of operations, processes, procedures, operations, INEC has significantly improved. The glitches that was experienced in February 25 has been fixed, and we could see that for many states, at least between 80 to 90% of the results have already been uploaded, which means another layer of transparency has been added, and people can follow through. And these results are going to be permanently there. In fact, there is a provision also in law that many people are not aware of, where the Commission has been empowered to do what is called electronic management of electronic result or something. So it's now going to be permanently on a database. So you are interested in a particular result, you apply to the Commission, you pay fees, and then they will print for you the certified true copies. So that already is backed by law. That INEC has to keep electronic result in electronic forms to make available as requested. So when you look at all of this, and then the fact that, many of the challenges we witnessed in our elections have been more exogenous than endogenous. Exogenous that is outside the control of the electoral management body. You may not appreciate, but for those of us who have close understanding of how the Commission works, you have a scenario where you have 16,500 permanent staffs in INEC, but INEC relies on 1.4 million ad hoc staff to help it conduct elections. Do the maths. That's 1.4 million presiding officers, supervisory presiding officer, assistant presiding officer 1, 2, and 3, rack technicians, rack supervisors or managers. This 1.4 million. But the entire staff strength of the Commission is under 20,000, 16,500. So those who are driving that process for you are people you cannot vouch for. Because there are core members who want to just cash out with this. They are just opportunity. I saw a trending video. I don't know whether they are core members, but it's somewhere in Cross River State, where they said the guy on the phone was calling the sponsor, saying that, remember the 20 million, we only got 8. So we have printed so number of senatorial, so number of reps. I saw that. I don't know whether you did. So it tells you that some people want to cash out. And there were just like 4 in that place, and they were doing massive thumb printing. Of course, if that cannot stand the scrutiny of law, because once you do mass thumb printing, that means you have sidelined beavers, and that means when beavers is recalled, there
will be a case of
overvoting. So that result will be nullified. But when I say exogenous factor, apart from those who are not permanent staff of the Commission and therefore are not subject to the discipline and review that a permanent staff does, what about the NURTW and both association personnel? Are they also staff of the Commission? The answer is no. And you rely on these people to help you commute men and materials from point A to point B. So they disappoint you, the shame is on you, you bear the cross, but you have paid for those services. Sometimes it was because of them, my chairman even went to meet with CBN Governor Emefiele to
over
say,
having
please,
cash at
I
hand.
need cash. That there are some of my vendors that will not take transfer. They want cash. And Emefiele promised, and we were told that he made available the cash needed. But then you got the cash, you failed to turn up at the appointed time. And there could be no replacement in a short time. And you need to see some of the rickety vehicles that these unions also provided. I saw one where a Reverend Father was saying they refused to upload and all. The vehicle was very rickety, the kind of which you see on Lagos streets that can tear people's clothes. This is 20,000 for one day. And yet, look at the house
Cannot provide the right vehicle.
The right vehicle, which can break down. And then we had this election during a period of fuel scarcity. I don't know, you have a car, I should believe, but look at the queues out there. You go, when I was coming out of the house this morning, queues were already long.
In short, I was stuck in one in NNPC. I thought it had cleared, only to find out that the queues are back. And
this
it's crazy.
This is the contest in which we conducted this election. So these are external factors that the commission does, but
these are also external factors. Like you think that over time and over several elections, given that these are also the same kind of arrangement we've employed over the years, that you want to preempt to a certain degree to saying we worked with NURTW before, we had challenge with delivery time and the likes of it. What other arrangement can we make with them or a different body to ensure that this time around they are on point?
Because, I don't work for the commission, but I think that conversation has to be held. They've been having this conversation over the years. I think they just felt that working with NURTW and NATO is still the best options available. Because I recall when we met with the chairman in October last year, the last meeting he has with civil society, in which I was privileged to be invited and I attended, it was then asking us, civil society, whether the commission should even be keeping the sensitive materials with CBN, given the predilection and of the CBN governor in politics, his political leaning. And after weighing all the options, we still felt that, look, keeping your material with CBN is even better than keeping it with Nigerian police or the military. So at the end of the day, it was unanimously advised that keep it with CBN.
They have a bit more secured vote.
They have more secured vote, and more so the polling agents will still be there when you want to withdraw these stops. So I'm not holding brief, and I feel that, again, the conversation has to be held that, do we really want democracy in Nigeria? Because when you look at the act of sabotage, the fifth columnist within an answer of INEC that worked every electoral cycle to undermine the process, you then ask whether the investment in electioneering has been worth it. If people will still undermine you, if people will still do you... Okay, again, let me flag the issue of 1.4 million estimated ad hoc staff. The idea thing will have been to do a background check of these people to know whether they have political affiliations. But where is the time? The recruitment and the training was concluded barely a week to the election. So, and it's not all the people who are trained that were shortlisted.
Yeah.
So, it's after the shortlist you start doing background check, isn't it? So, which agency can you engage that will do background check of 1.4 million people for you in 3 days?
But if you're working with NYSC, you expect that from that front, they already sieve the character in terms of the background check of this individual. It should be a synergy between interagency synergy.
They don't do background check in NYSC. What the check they do is to know whether you are actually
a graduate or not.
You are worthy of being, but to know whether you have political leanings or political affiliation. And it's already expressly said in the Electoral Act that you are not supposed to be a card-carrying member of a party. But I've heard it's being said in whispered tones that in many states, politicians actually, encourage their members to go and volunteer to be ad hoc staff of INEC. And they were taken. And because they have political interests, they can do and undo. They can refuse to upload results.
I mean, we saw a video. I saw one particular video say we're not uploading, and you start to wonder when there was clear instruction to say this is what you should do.
That we are not uploading, and that they have agreed with all the agents. So you ask yourself, are you countermanding what the regulations and guidelines
stipulates?
Is? So I think that, Professor Claude Kake of University of Port Harcourt of blessed memory, he said something that Nigeria is running democracy without Democrats. That we are running democracy without Democrats, and that's dangerous. When people do not have democratic ethos, they don't believe in the ethics and ethos of democracy. They are endangering our project, because all they think about is winning elections. And when you apply what is called Machiavellian principles of the end justifies the means to win election at all costs, look at what's happening across board, from Biningwari to Fufure to Obingwa to Enugu, Nsuka, and Nkanu East, where elections have to be, the coalition has to be suspended. Or even the Kebbi, where election was declared inconclusive, and several other places where, is it INEC officials themselves who are abducting themselves? And INEC has said one of their ad hoc staff even was killed in this election. Just for how much? That's it. So you have 19 of them that were abducted in Imo, and police were able to secure their release, but was not able to secure the release of beavers and other election materials. And even Ogbia, INEC had to return to 141 polling units in Ogbia in Bayelsa because of violence. So when the political elites, the political gladiators are having this not in my backyard attitude, that is my way or highway. If I don't win, nobody wins. Rather than not winning, nobody wins.
It's better we disrupt it.
So when you have that tendency, you are not helping the smooth conduct of the polls. And that's why you see that in many places, 48 hours after the polls, the elections have not been concluded. And INEC has come out now to officially say that in Abia, in Enugu, election coalition has been suspended. We don't know what will eventually happen in Rivers, where there are also contentions. You could recall that Asarituru, they could not have elections on Saturday. They have to go. And that's a perennial problem. So you ask yourself, the whole Chapter 7 of the Electoral Act is on electoral offences. But every electoral cycle, you have
rinse and repeat for us.
These rules with impunity.
Okay, let's look at other aspects. This might just be outside the hands of INEC itself, but the case of voter suppression that we saw reported massively in the election. And I'm going to kill the big round. Where you could see accession of people voting this party, they don't come to where you saw people who were back into polling units and this person. And you start to went to where some people were forced to vote from it.
Again, that was not totally unexpected. But what was the response from the security agencies?
Well, it feels a little downplayed.
Yeah, so that's the problem. INEC cannot leave its own onerous responsibility to start chasing after those who are intimidating voters, to start apprehending them. It's the work of the police, the military, and other security agencies that were deployed and giving allowances for their deployment. I say it unequivocally, police, from what I read, got 64 billion to provide election security. So they should have been alive to their responsibility. Why should, and I've asked this question, why should talks be able to overwhelm collation center? You are not manning polling units now, in which case you are just two. Collation center is maybe ward, local government. You are talking of a concentrated place that should ordinarily have been given maximum security protection. But what do we see? Thugs will still come in, and in Binugwari, they said thugs invaded the collation center and destroyed all the ECAT form. Where were the police or the military? In fact, a very sad development, the one that happened in Jalingo, where interagency face fracas led to fatalities. between police and the police and the military. So we keep seeing this year in year out. So I'm talking of exogenous factors, the political class, the security agencies, who owes its primary responsibility to provide election security, and who got a budget for it. Why are they not able to anticipate? You claim that you do security threat assessment. If truly you did security threat assessment, why did this happen? DSS are involved. In fact, if you know the whole gamut of ISES, Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, you'll be shocked that there are over 22 agencies involved, including civil defense, NDLEA, fire brigade, anti-corruption agencies like AFCC, ICPC. All of them are there. And they have coordination meetings. And it's under the Office of National Security Advisor. So you ask yourself, what were their scenario planning, given the fact that we know, for instance, I knew Lagos was going to be contentious. You know why? Because right before the election, there were these rhetorics that have been out there. Ethnic jingoists, videos that have been issued, threats on videos with faces not masked. And the police didn't arrest. The DSS didn't go after those fellows to take them out of the process.
Yeah.
So if you allow all of those rhetorics and speeches to have gone without check, then what do you expect will happen on election day?
But here's the interesting thing is, why did we take the step back to employ these rhetorics, this whole ethnic dimension of it in this particular election? It wasn't so pronounced in the last two elections. Why now?
Why not now? Obedient movement caught everybody napping. Many didn't see it come. And to have defeated the landlord of Lagos was something out of the blues. Because, Lagos, I don't know whether even ahead of the national elections, whether you saw Governor Sanwo doing as much as he did in the last 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
After the poll.
He spread himself thin, going everywhere.
Yeah.
He was everywhere.
He became an usher, he became an evangelist, he was going to club, he was all the seized vehicles in Lagos, release, everybody release, come and take it free. Meanwhile, they have been charged, impounded 150,000, 200, 300,000. Oh, okay, everybody. If you have your vehicles impounded,
come and take it.
Come and take it for free. Now, all the BRT lanes
donating monies to bond market and people, yeah.
They will just caution you, this is reserved. But if it were to be before the election, they will not even talk to you. They just clamp your vehicle, and the next thing you see a vehicle taking you to Alausa or where they are. So the point is, Lagos presents a very peculiar situation. The defeat of APC in Lagos, and by extension, President-elect, demystified the Lagosians, as they want to call it. So they felt, we were so complacent. We didn't see that. Look, Alimosho local government is the biggest local government in Lagos. APC never lost in Alimosho. In this election, they have to go, I don't know whether he was invited or he volunteered, but Minister of Interior, Ogbeni Ralph Aregbesola, relocated to Lagos and started having consultative meetings with Alimosho elders, calling for fence mending, and, I saw the videos. It got that, there was that jittery, that no, lightning does not strike twice. And if they didn't rev up those sentiments, they were not too sure whether they would be able to win convincingly, even if they win. And the fear of the tribunal is the beginning of wisdom. So they want to win by such a margin that even if you go to tribunal, by the time you do arithmetic of plus or minus, you say, okay, you still won anyway. You understand? But I think it's still boils down to the Machiavellian principle of the end justifies the mean. I do not support what happened in Lagos, particularly vote suppression, the hate speech. In fact, I was so afraid for Gbadebo Rose Vivo.
At some point,
I hope he will not be attacked and will not be killed. We saw what happened.
Yeah.
Enugu East, Labour candidate
Yeah.
in Enugu East. 3 days to election.
Yeah.
Was coming from campaign. Some
And was
people
killed.
ambushed him and slain him. And he was burnt to ashes. Luckily, the younger brother who never had any ambition, is
Filled
the
in
one
the
that
shoe.
has now been senator
Yeah.
elect, was able to defeat Chimaruke in Amani as at yesterday. So, what we are saying is that the Machiavellian principle being employed by the political class of Nigeria is undermining our democratic
Yeah.
project. And the unfortunate thing is that those who are supposed to call them to order are actually complicit. Because I believe those rhetorics, DSS should have been able to track those ideologues and put them, in prison,
their place, yeah.
or prefer charges against them. There are enough laws to get. Because when you start whipping up ethno-religious sentiments against people, that's what ignited the Rwandan genocide.
Yeah.
Calling people names, wrong profiling and all of that. I do not support all that because, I foresaw that APC will have won Lagos, but maybe not by the margin of victory. Because why I believe APC will have won, but with a far lower margin, is because unlike on February 25th, where they could use religion, that, okay, we are voting against APC because of Muslim ticket. This time, it's a balanced ticket. Sanwo is a Christian, Dr. Amzat is a Muslim.
Yeah.
So you can't use the lack of balancing. Then if it's about incumbency, he has an advantage. Then will Lagos want to go opposition after one of their own has become president-elect? I don't think so. I think they want to belong to the
center.
The center, and those sentiments actually do count. Because you ask yourself, since 1999, you've been for a very long time in opposition, when PDP, 16 years. Then you suddenly find yourself, in alliance. And look at it. Was it not the alliance with the center that has made it possible for Sanwo to do the Blue Rail Line today, which Buhari was against in 1984? You understand what I'm saying? The approval, even Lagos about the expressway and all of that is, when you belong to the party at the center. You have certain advantages, preferences, approvals. So is it now that Lagos will want to be in opposition to a Tinubu? You get. So Lagosians will definitely have reasoned it out that, look, voting Labour Party into governorship in Lagos will not make sense to them in terms of political calculations. Then Sanwo is an incumbent. He has performed infrastructural-wise. He's a Christian, so you can't say, because of like in Kaduna now, the Muslim ticket is haunting Kaduna.
Yeah.
Because Obasanjo has continued with
the trajectory of El-Rufai.
But that is not the scenario in Lagos. Then, of course, the issue of cashless policy, lack of naira on February 25th, as well as the first custody, they abated. You have had scenario where the tension has calmed
down a little bit,
because now the Supreme Court decision on March 8th to now allow old and new currency, and then the implementation, even if it's by word of mouth, the implementation has come friendly, because these are some of the things that made APC to lose in Lagos. The answers, the specter of answers, the youth wanting to take back. And so they are using APC, they are using PDP. In fact, the candidate of PDP is also a youth, So I saw that APC will still have won Lagos, but without the rhetorics, without the
margin would have been lower.
The margin would have been considerably lower, because then if you create a
free fair election,
what they call a level playing field.
Yeah, okay.
The Gbadebo Rose River guy resonates more with the youth, and it's like an exercise, it's like a referendum. Take back our states, and of course they have to go the ethnic way. They have to go, use everything that they can use against this person. But if not those rhetorics, You ask yourself, Tinubu, who is he married to? He's not married to a Yoruba person. He's married to an Ishekiri lady. My governor in Oyo State, Sheyi Makinde is married to somebody from Rivers State. Even Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State is married to an Igbo lady from Imo State. So why will you say Gbadebo Rose because his mother is Igbo and his wife is Igbo? That he will sell Lagos to Igbo. Of course, those sentiments have to be whipped up for political reason, not for any sound logical reason. It doesn't make any logical reason because if Mrs. Remi Tinubu, who was a 3-time senator in Lagos, is not original from Lagos. She's from Delta. From Delta State, yeah. So if that works for Tinubu, why shouldn't it work for Gbadebo Rose Vivo? But they have to whip up those sentiments. Oh, you couldn't even speak Yoruba for goodness sake. How can you be a Yoruba governor and not be able to speak? So they have to do those as a demarketing strategy. And whipping up those sentiments and intimidating anyone that wants to vote any party aside of APC was...
but, I mean, the intimidation was so pronounced that profiling was done to say this person does not look like Yoruba, so automatically will not be voting in the party,
and that
is really sad.
That's reprehensible. It is anti-democratic. It is something that the police and other security authorities should have been able to pick up those who are doing that, the ROS and take them out of business. But they were complicit for the fact that they allow those the free reins of those kind of rhetorics.
All right, let's look at some comment quickly and we'll go on a very short break and take some calls just before the news. Let's see. Ibrahim Hajara, always with us. Thank you very much. Savior Nkanang, good afternoon, Kim, and our guest. Asiru Abbas, Nigeria is retrogressing democratically because of selfish gains of few individuals. It baffles me how the oppressed cooperate with their oppressors during the election in the country. Mazi Sunday Okewu says, let your guests speak truth about the issues at hand. It's disheartening that the guest is making excuses for the ineptitude of INEC. Blame my grandmother for fuel scarcity. All right, take it easy, Asiru. Harim Tekula, why is it that NYC lady that says she will not upload results at the polling unit is not arrested and questioned in order to know the person that directed her to say that and be dealt the adequate punishment? And little disappoint, okay, came to me, nothing like democracy in Nigeria with what I witnessed personally. Latte Foster sends that one in. Let's go on a very quick break, one quick break, and then we'll be back to take some phone calls. We'll see other stories to look at with our guest, Mr. Jide Ojo, so please stay with us. Hello. My name is Kimberly Nwachukwu. I'm the host of Hard Facts, and I bring you the biggest stories driving conversation every weekday here on 95.1 Nigeria Info Hard Fact Show. I love to get your opinion and conjectures, but the facts you cannot dispute here on Hard Facts. Join me and let's talk.